Hello, seventh grade mathematicians. Today we are going to talk about adding and subtracting decimals and fractions. This is the notes page. You may either have this paper and follow along, or I need you to write this in a sheet of notebook paper or a spiral. It's really important in math that you write problems down and you take notes so you can look back at the steps, okay? So we're going to start with adding and subtracting decimals. In order to add and subtract decimals, anytime we add or subtract, the very first thing is to line up the decimal points. So adding and subtracting, our decimals have to be right on top of each other, okay? We're going to add a placeholder, which means if there's numbers missing, we're going to put a 0, and then we're going to bring this decimal straight down into our answer, and we are going to do the operation that is told, either adding or subtracting. So this first problem, I'm going to write my first number, 3.25, and it has to be nice and neat so that your numbers stay where they're supposed to. We are going to add, that's what my problem says, add 10.1 or 10 and 1/10. Do you see how there is not a number under my 5? Because there's not a number there, this is where we need to add a placeholder, meaning we're going to add a 0. Okay? Now, all we're going to do is add our numbers. When we add, we want to start on the right side so that when we have numbers greater than 10, we can carry our numbers to the next placeholder. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 2 plus 1 is 3. We bring our decimal straight down when we add or subtract. 3 plus 0 is 3. And 0 plus 1, if you want to put the 0 there, you can. 0 plus 1 is 1. So when I add 3.25 plus 10.1, I get an answer of 13.35, or 13 and 35 hundredths. Now, what we could have done, and we can still do to check our answer, is we can estimate. 3.25 is really close to 3, and 10.1 is really close to 10. If I were to add these together, I should get about 13. And my answer is a little more than 13 because 3.25 is a little more than 3, and 10.1 is a little more than 10. So that is a good way to kind of check that my answer makes sense. All right, we're going to do example number 2. What's different about this problem? This problem is a subtraction problem. And let's do our estimation first. I have 1.7. 1.7 is pretty close to the number 2. And then I'm going to subtract 0.92. 0.92 is pretty close to the number 1. So my answer should be about 2 minus 1, which is 1. That's what we're hoping our answer is close to. Okay? Let's go do our subtraction with the decimals. I have 1.7 minus 0.92. Well, I'm missing a few numbers in here, so I have to add my placeholder. So I'm going to add a 0 for my placeholder. When I work right to left, because in math we got to start for right now at the small side or the small place values, 0 minus 2. I can't do 0 minus 2, so we're going to go borrow from our tenths. So this is going to become a 6, and my 0 becomes a 10. So what is 10 minus 2 is 8. Can 6 minus 9? I can't take 6 minus 9 right now. So my 1 will become a 0. And my 6, I'm going to add those numbers to it. Those 10 places will become a 16. So 16 minus 9 is 7. My decimal, remember right here, my decimal comes straight down in adding or subtracting. And then 0 minus 0 is 0. So my answer is 0 and 78 hundredths. Now we estimated it to be 1. That's a little less than 1. But look, when I estimated, my real number's a little less than 2 and a little less than 1. So my answer should be a little less than my estimation. All right, let's go do a word problem. Example number 3. Kiara bought some school supplies. She bought a pencil for 0.39 or 39 cents, a spiral for $2.09, and a binder for $4.50. How much did she spend on these 3 supplies? What do you think that we're going to do if she bought 3 items and then when she goes to the checkout counter, she needs to know how much she spent on these 3 items? We're going to add. So we're going to add our 3 decimals or our 3 prices. So we can do this 2 ways. We can add all 3 numbers at one time, or we can add the first 2 and get a total, and then the last one and get a total. I'm going to line up all 3 decimals. So I have 0.39, I have 2.09, and 4.50. Make sure it's nice and neat to line it up. 0.39, 2.09, and 4.50. And we are going to be adding. So 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 0 is still 18. So I have my 8 and I carry my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. And 4 plus 5 is 9. Oh, here's my decimal point. I'm going to bring it straight down. And then I have 0 plus 2 is 2, plus 4 is 6. So how much did she spend on all of her school supplies? $6.98. Again, we should have gone and estimated. This is about $2. This is about $4, or you could round to $5. And 39 cents isn't very much. We could say that's about 0. So my answer, 4 plus 0 plus 2 is 6, should be a little more than 6. At the bottom of your paper, I would like for you to write a sentence. What do I need to remember when adding or subtracting decimals? So you need to write a sentence that says, I need to remember when adding or subtracting decimals to blank, blank, blank. So I want you to pause the video and write your sentence. Okay, what did you remember you need to do? When I add or subtract decimals, the most important thing I need to do is line up the decimal points. That is the most important thing to remember when adding or subtracting. All right, I am going to do the adding and subtracting fractions. I'm going to make this a separate video so I can get through the whole example in one sitting. So take a pause for a minute and we're going to load up a second video for adding and subtracting fractions.